you guys, what a catastrophe out there in Hunt, Texas. So we're going to look at a short clip from the news report. I think this is Fox 4 News. And there is still over, I believe, 80 bodies is the report of today. In the news report, they said 79, but I did hear the number 80 today on another report. But also, I want to say something following the clip that I'm hearing out here on the internet. But let's take a look at this clip first. It's bad.
Tales of survival and heartbreak across large swaths of central Texas. By air, by land, rescues and recoveries continue into day 3.
We've also seen camp workers, families who are trying to clear out some of these cabins over my other shoulder.
Fox 4 reports from inside the calamity, getting our own look today at Camp Mystic's devastation, where dozens of children were swept away, including some from North Texas.
It's not going to take the same amount of rain that caused this damage to make the current water levels rise up, right? Because the ground is already saturated.
Now, with even more rain falling across the waterlogged region, new fears in new communities as water levels rise once again. Plus, average Americans answering the pleas for help, donating their time and their money to help neighbors in need.
People across our community, across our state, across the world have been responding to that request.
Tonight with an update on the numbers coming out of Central Texas. At least 79 people are dead at this hour across the region due to the catastrophic flooding. Rescue efforts still underway with a known 41 still missing, a number that could actually be much higher according to authorities. Thanks for being here tonight. I'm Casey Stiegel. A majority of the deaths being reported in this historic flash flood emergency are from Kerr County. 10 girls from the all-girls summer camp.
That brought something to mind concerning that Camp Mystic. And there's some ugly statements being made here online. Not necessarily on YouTube is where I heard it, on other platforms. Not YouTube, but let me fix that, not YouTube. One person said, this is the reckoning of God, that these girls have come up missing in this flood. Now, they're talking about these girls being white children, and they're not just white children, because another person said these children was from families of means, people who are of the political arena, and people of means send their children to this Camp Mystic. I want to ask, so the deaths that go on, the unalivings that go on through the rest of the world with other communities and ethnic identities of people and children, those are not the reckonings of God. We want to be careful with that type of thing, you all. I'm not to say that this is not the hand of God at work, and I'm not to confirm that it is. I don't know. But I do know that there's no special humans in this planet. We're all human beings. It does not matter what our ethnic identities and our shades and our gender is. We're people here. And we have to learn how to mind our behaviors. I will say, to my observation, and being somebody who respects and try to revere the living creator God with my life, that there seemed to be a spirit of murder in the earth. And I don't know if I could say the M-U-R, I just said it already, but the unaliving in the earth, through not just people doing it, but natural disasters seems to be happening. And there's more children. The youth is being affected right now. Are we paying attention to that? Because the Christian community, I think that we should definitely be in prayer and asking for the forgiveness of God for our behaviors as human beings, especially the household of faith. Pay attention to ourselves. What are we doing to impact our society and our own children in our own house who we have oversight and care of? What are we imparting in these children? Because God takes that serious. Children's lives are not any better than anybody else's life. They're not more important than middle-aged adults nor elder adults. And God trusts us older people to impart the right things into them.
working through very challenging terrain and conditions to find every last person unaccounted for. We have Team Fox 4 coverage this evening with crews out in Kerr County and right here at home with a look at local relief efforts. Fox 4's Peyton Yeager kicks things off for us tonight live in Hunt, Texas, which is not far from Camp Mystic. Peyton, what's the situation looking like where you are?
Hi, Casey. And today at Camp Mystic, some of those families were allowed to go into the cabins and pull out belongings. Also on the campgrounds, search and rescue crews, they were trying to sift through those mounds of debris along the Guadalupe River. The road here along the river closed today, prioritizing first responders and power crews.
Sunday, the frantic search continues for missing campers and a missing counselor from Hunt, Texas's Camp Mystic. Fox 4 confirmed Camp Mystic director Dick Eastland died trying to save girls from the raging Guadalupe River. While on scene, these men tell Fox 4 they were looking along the riverbank for their missing grandmother. But Sunday afternoon, storms made the recovery efforts more difficult. Rainfall triggered a new flash flood warning. People in Hunt told to get to higher ground. DPS troopers working to communicate on where to evacuate. That panic was felt again with a potential surge of water. Here in Hunt, you also have homes that were completely washed away. All that's left of this one is the foundation. Another priority today, we had power crews here in Hunt working on these power lines like this one. Broke in half, but also next to it, hanging on a tree, the American flag.
I've chased a lot of hurricanes and tornadoes, and I have never, not once in my career, seen anything like this. This is horrific.
Tyrell Beach, a contract lineman out of Granbury, and also a father, taking the devastation personally.
When you see debris and clothing and shoes and stuff, and then you think, that could have been one of their clothing or a tent or a sleeping bag. And I couldn't tell you how many times I've drove up and down this line bawling my eyes out. So
now I want to share a little something I found. There's a garden that I found of interest that was that's designed there. This garden, let me put my little specs on here. You all may be familiar with this. So there's a garden called the Common King Sculpture Prayer Garden there in that area. The garden was prophetic. In 1998, a Christian artist, Max Granier Jr., had a vision of Jesus' return. Following his vision, it was confirmed multiple times through prophetic words, one being from a Messianic Jew. Max reportedly turned down a $400,000 commission to follow what he believed to be a divine assignment. In 2002, Max designed a cross-shaped garden filled with Christ-centered sculptures and engraved scriptures. There's a centerpiece 77 feet 7 inches tall of an empty cross made of cortine steel, symbolizing the resurrection and an open invitation to Christ. It was supposedly built to fulfill a prophetic word from 2001 again, and intended to be a place of miracles, signs, and wonders. It drew over 200,000 visitors a year. That's nice. I think that's a great thing. From their website, they intended to go throughout the United States and build more of those type of gardens. And the people are survivors. Some of them went to that place the day after the flood to pray. But what I do want to encourage is that you don't need a special place to go. It's nice to go to a place if you want to, whether that be a church, you have a cell group meeting in your home, gather. The saints should gather. But if you can't get to a special place, because this was a endeared place and it's been around for a while, and people from all around, as you see, come to this place. And it's reported that people feel the presence of God and they see the glory cloud there. And you can also see that in your home. If you take up a visual and take up a prayer life and consecrate yourself in your own home, you can have the glory cloud of the Holy Spirit to visit you there. He's everywhere. If you can't get to a certain place, a church, or any other place, right there where you are, you don't have to travel any place. God is where you are if you invite him there. We have to practice a lifestyle of holiness and righteousness. But I want to say a little bit more something about these children. My prayers go out to the families, offer my condolences, and I pray that those children's soul rest in peace. But for those who are yet living, all of us, children and adults alike, remember biblical passages. The Bible is for our reference of God's nature, who God is, yesterday, today, and forevermore. He don't change. It's us humans, we can get into a naive place, into a gullible place, and we see God from a narrow view. What I'm also noticing and hearing just through, living observation, we're just a human family and we're observing each other. And people will want to put the image of God on the skin color. When they say, I serve God or we serve God, then they have an image of the people, what the people look like, who are God's people. God's people is in every color on this planet. And also God's people are of no specific color on this planet. He will shine in your crevice of your heart, your inner nature, your inner being. He will shine his light, which is conviction there, and say, check that bias right there. God don't have any special people. But what we have to do is clean out our cockles of our own partiality and our biases and stop seeing a particular gender or a specific ethnic group of people of these are God's people. No. And then how we handle children again. Remember the prophet, I think it was Elisha. Children came out on the street and they was picking at the prophet. It was his children playing around, calling him bald-headed. And as the passage goes, Elijah called out a bear out of the woods and came and devoured those children. Kids. What did the prophet say about those kids that he would want to call the bear out of the woods to devour? Children. They're just kids. Well, I don't know. I don't want to go too far into the story about that. But what I do want to say, again, children are not special. They're not elite people, but they are vulnerable people. And we have a charge of protecting them and training them up in the way of the Lord, in the way that they should go. Train them not to be gullible. Train them not to be naive. Train them to be responsible young people. So as they develop in their psychological being, they grow up to be responsible adults. But tell the truth in the love of God. And the love of God is to speak the truth of God, even if that truth offends. The gospel offends. We can say it intact, but the gospel offends is to call people up and away from their way, their value system, up away from their morality, whatever they have as a morality, because we all have one. But God calls us to his. He has a morality he wants to issue us, and he definitely has a value system that he wants us to replace ours with his. Again, I pray for those victims' families, and pray that everything be well with their recovery and going forward with their life, and that we lay down all of this fault finding and blame and saying what God did. God came up on that community and he wiped that out because he's not pleased. Maybe he may not be pleased. I don't know. I'm not here to say he's not pleased. But is he pleased with the rest of the happenings on the earth? We need to look around. Is he pleased? And then if we say we love people, the Christians need to be having, again, more of a voice to speak to that. So let's turn around. Because there's an ugly statement that's also circulating that's calling black fatigue. There's no point in that. There's humans upon the earth. How are you so sick, or some groups of people so sick of a sector of black people? Then why don't you have outreach to those black people? The scripture says that the harvest is ripe. That means souls are ready. However the soul is acting out, however the soul appears and projecting themselves in the earth, then where is the Christian body ready to minister, to have an outreach to those souls? There's no point in all of this fatiguing. We should be fatigued with unrighteousness in every skin color and gender. That's where the fatigue should be, in unrighteousness. And then the saints say, this is my calling. Do you know your calling? This is what God imparts me to be able to speak to this group, that person, this assembly, wherever he plugs you in. And he don't have to plug us in the church. Come on, we know better than that, don't we? There's some people that needs to work in the church. They're assigned to the church. But the earth is filled with people. But we just have to be willing to speak to those people and then let God calm our biases about our human mates. Not pick on people. Don't be a person that pick on people. You can't properly oversee people. You can't properly supervise and manage people. If you pick at people, you have a partiality. You tell one group of people one thing because you want to pick at them. But then you tell another group of people another thing, and you supervise those people. It's because of your partialities. You want to get rid of that. That's not proper supervision. It's not wise. It's the wisdom of this world, but not the wisdom of God. Take care, you all. My name is Vanessa. Thank you for stopping by the channel.